February 6th, 2021. My name is Christopher Saunders, and this is the Connecticut Sports Talent Show where we talk all things talent in Connecticut. And on today's show, I'm pleased to have a left-handed pitcher for East Hartford who will be going to Southern Maine Community College in the fall, Jack Falvo. Jack, thanks so much for being able to come on, man.
Definitely, Chris. Thank you for having me.
No problem, man. I think first and foremost, before we dive into all the nitty-gritty and the awesome stuff I have written down here, how is your family and yourself doing during both the quarantine, well, not quarantine, but COVID, and also, school and everything else?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've been pretty great or blessed to not really have anything serious going on. Everyone's pretty healthy and stuff like that. So it's always a positive, especially right now.
Good, man. I'm happy to hear that. Seriously, I hope everybody continues on staying healthy, especially with tomorrow being the Super Bowl.
Of course, yeah.
Pick, by the way, before we get into anything,
Brady, yeah, of course.
Brady?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I feel like it's it's kind of like the tale of two things. I don't want to pick Brady because he's the GOAT, but then it's like Kansas City is almost unstoppable as far as offensively,
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard to pick. But anyway, thanks so much for being able to come on. I think, first and foremost, going into kind of diving into your career a little bit, when did you start playing baseball?
I was about 4 or 5 years old. I think was when I started T-ball.
And were you a pitcher, or did you kind of jump into, what was it?
Yeah, I mean, I think, I didn't really start pitching until I was probably like 4th grade.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I always played like first base and like outfield and that stuff, but I didn't. Yeah, I was always a pretty good pitcher in like Little League and stuff like that.
Were you kind of drawn to, was hitting something that you liked, or was it kind of because you were so young, it kind of was, well, I'm just going to do it, and then who knows what could be down the road that I may kind of like more?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's how it was in like Little League and stuff like that. But then it's like as I kind of got older and stuff, I wasn't really the best hitter. Mm-hmm. And I mean, personally, I enjoy pitching 10 times more than I do hitting. And my dad was a pitcher in college and stuff like that, so he always helped me with like pitching and stuff, and I just fell in love with it.
Where did your dad go to college?
University of New Haven.
Oh, really? Okay, so local, stay close, and
to
be able to have a dad. Was he left-handed too, or righty?
Not right-handed.
Right-handed. Oh, that's a shame. Lefties. I'm lefty, so we know. You and I know that kind of quirky things that we do.
Of course.
That's awesome. So as far as the pitching side, now you said in 4th grade, correct? You kind of got drawn to it.
Yeah.
Was it something where, was it during a game? Was it practice? Because, multiple guys that I've talked to who played a lot of positions and then ended up as a pitcher. I know one player in particular, he was young. He just got thrown into a bases loaded situation and he struck out the side.
Yeah.
And now, years later, his last name is Moore, and I had him on here a couple weeks ago. Now he's going to Siena.
Oh, wow.
So how, what's your stories for us, as far as kind of you going into the pitching side?
Yeah, no. So I mean, I was kind of, it was just like literally, everyone's kind of like switching around a lot of the positions. And I started pitching, I kind of started doing well and stuff like that. And of course, being left-handed has its advantages and stuff like that. You got a little more potential, of course. And, I just kept getting that opportunity to pitch, and I just liked it even more and more every single time. So it was kind of.
Interesting. So as far as you as a pitcher now, going back to, again, 4th grade and then kind of going through, at what age would you classify yourself as an actual pitcher? Because what I mean by that is there's kids who throw. If you're telling me, you know what I'm talking about. There's guys who just throw and they have no idea what they're doing. And then there's pitchers who are like, all right, I'm going to select, where I want to go and go out with a game plan. When did you feel like you hit that pitching stage of your career?
I would probably say in 8th grade, where I would really come into a game with an actual real approach and stuff like that. Because before that, you kind of just pitching, you kind of just out there doing your thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then it was you kind of take it a little bit more serious, and you kind of have a real approach to the game, real approach to every single hitter. So it's like that.
Is that something that you did yourself as far as the approach, or was it a coach? Was it your dad who was a former,
it was usually it was always talking with my dad and stuff like that. So I always talk with him after the game, stuff like that, how I did, and he would always kind of talk with me how I should have attacked this guy and stuff like that. So you kind of just bring it into your next outing and stuff like that.
Now, was he doing that even when you were back in 4th grade?
I don't think. Not really, because it wasn't really as serious back then. But
come on, it's always serious. I don't care if it's 4th grade. You got to win every single game. Every guy's got to get out.
Of course.
But that's good, though, again, to go back to your dad, because he was a pitcher, he could see things from afar or, from a close, depending on where he is, where maybe other people can't, and he can kind of help you, as you progress each year. Now, as far as your pitch selection and, your repertoire, was he big on, because I know, again, going back to when I was growing up and even talking to coaches and such now, they're big on not, some are big on throwing curveballs young, others aren't. And I can see both sides. What was your approach, and what did your dad kind of instill in you for that?
Yeah, my dad definitely taught me pretty young. I think I started throwing it like 6th grade, 5th grade. Probably 6th grade, I'd say. So I was throwing it like right before middle school and stuff like that. And like, he was never like overdoing it or nothing like that. It was kind of just like trying to get a feel for it and then just like kind of building off of that.
Now, is it the kind of curveball, the 12-6er? Is it the 1-7? What kind of curveball do you have?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's more like a slurve, kind of like a 1-7.
Okay. So, I mean, in some ways, because lefties, because I'm assuming because you throw a slurve, you're what, high 3/4, I would say?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's probably, I think, again, to go back to the curveball discussion, and you could correct me if I'm wrong here, I think it's not so much the age of which you throw the curveball. I think it's being able to repeat it. Just like a pitcher who, could have terrible mechanics. I mean, prime example, Max Scherzer probably has the worst mechanics known to mankind, but he repeats it every single time. So I think because he's able to do that, he's not having to favor like we see with other pitchers. And I think for you to be able to stay on that same arm slot, I could see the curveball not being so much of a problem at such a young age.
Yeah, no, it's kind of like consistency type of thing. You just keep doing it and just.
Now, did you throw anything else? I mean, obviously you threw curveball, fastball, but were you throwing changeups at a young age, 2-seamers?
Nah, I was pretty much just sticking fastball, curveball.
Okay, and so then was it high school when you started to expand your repertoire, or was it kind of curveball, fastball until later on?
Yeah, so when I got to high school, it was kind of like I still like kind of when I got into my freshman year, like I still didn't really have like a changeup or anything like that, because I just never really. I mean, to be honest, like it's a hard pitch to like get the feel for, because I wouldn't say it's like a difficult pitch to necessarily throw, but like finding a right grip and like finding a right like thing that you can do consistently.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, again, to go, the changeup, and I never had a changeup being a left-hander. I had the 2-seamer and slur because I didn't have the arm speed, and I could never find the right the right grip to be able to do a changeup. I mean, I'm sure you've talked to various pitchers from, whichever levels where, like you said, finding that grip. Some guys throw the Vulcan changeup, some throw a circle change, some throw a split change. It's just finding that right grip, and sometimes you have to tinker with it in practice. The worst part is doing it during games because you don't feel confident,
Yeah.
That's the worst part. But again, so since we were on the subject about you being able, your freshman year of high school at East Hartford, was it freshman year you were on the varsity, or was it something, again, you had to build for?
Yeah, no. So my freshman year, I was on JV, and like I played a little bit of first base on, because I played freshman and JV, so it was a little bit of first base on the freshman team, but then JV there was like 3 guys ahead of me on first base, and I mean I was pitching really well that season too, so I was pretty much like a PO on JV that year too, and we had a really good varsity team, so I wasn't.
Do you think that kind of helped you as far as, because there were players ahead of you, that you didn't get rushed into a situation where,
of course,
because again, pitchers, especially lefties, we get in our own heads. I mean, I don't know about you, but I always did. So
definitely.
Do you think because you were able to kind of, I like to use the saying, I'd rather bake in an oven than be heated up in a microwave, because then you may not be ready. If you bake in the microwave, or you bake in the oven, then you can slowly get ready.
Yeah, because I remember like my freshman year, like it was a good season and everything like that, but like I learned a ton that year. And I really think that's kind of what helped me end up making varsity my sophomore year and stuff like that.
What did you learn?
I learned
Be honest here.
I'm gonna be honest, yeah. So I mean, like before, like with like back to like the approach type of thing, like I wasn't really like. I think what I learned the most was trying to keep a hitter off balanced. With like breaking ball, like fastball, and then mixing a changeup here and there. Because like back in like Little League in middle school, like it was get 2 strikes, get them in a hole, and then throw a curveball every single time.
And it worked.
But then it's like maybe what?
And then it worked every time.
Yeah, of course, yeah. But then it's like when you get to high school, a lot better kids and stuff like that, so you gotta switch it up a lot. And then I kind of developed a pickoff move too, so I learned that and stuff like that. And that's kind of definitely one of my strong suits in my game. But yeah.
And setting up the hitters, as far as being able to do pitch sequencing that you were doing, Was it more so being able to mix up your pitches that was the hardest? Because like you said, to be able to throw every pitch, the fastball, the curveball, and the changeup for strikes every single start, it's hard. I mean, out of 20, 25 starts, you could have maybe 5 starts where, wow, all my stuff is on. Then you could have a couple where it's like, I could throw just my palm and it's just not going to work. And then you have in betweens. For you, was it that, or was it kind of the, all right, I want to make sure I do my game plan, but if that doesn't work, I can kind of work around it? That took adjusting.
Yeah, definitely. So, honestly, I'm still young at the time. I mean, I'm still young right now, but of course, like even back then, it's kind of like I'm still trying to learn. So, of course, like, if I can't get a breaking ball for a strike or anything like that, you try to make the adjustments and stuff. But then, like, kind of like the reality of it is, like, you got to also try to get outs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if I got to keep throwing a fastball to try to get them to roll one over, or even just try to get a strikeout, and I can't get a curveball going, then I mean, that's kind of what I'm gonna have to end up doing.
Now, because even back your freshman year, if I recall, I think that's right when the launch angle started to become, if not already a thing, it was starting to become a thing. And I think for a left-hander, even though you were young, did you realize that if you were able to use your changeup more, that you could become more successful? Because obviously the curveball is good, but you're seeing a lot more curveball guys, a lot more pitchers using the curveball, but you're not seeing a lot of changeups used by pitchers now.
Yeah. Because I mean, I never really, like, back then, I never really even like thought of it like that, to be honest. But like, I know, like, even like just like over the last few years, kind of just like working and stuff, like you really can, like, and like, of course, like seeing other guys pitch and stuff like that, even the bigs or even like guys my age too, like lefties have a changeup. I mean, that's like a huge advantage just about over anyone.
I mean, you may be too young. Johan Santana,
Mark
Burley, I mean, Andy Pettit, my idol.
Yep,
I mean, Yankee fan, Red Sox fan, what are you?
Yankee fan, diehard.
All right, so let's say, I know we're getting off subject here. Who cares? Let's see. I'm going to guess your idol probably is Andy Pettit.
Andy Pettit's definitely up there. I love Randy Johnson, though.
Oh, you're the second kid I've had on here who said Randy Johnson was one of their guys. And
really?
I'm thinking to myself, I get why, because he was so, I mean, doing this, scary, beyond scary. Yeah. I mean, what did you
6'11" too? Like,
well, yeah, that helps as well. I mean, what did you, watching him, what impressed you the most about him that you kind of brought into your own game?
Yeah, it was kind of like, so like, it's just like how like his physical, like how physically intimidating he is, to be honest. And like, I'm a pretty big kid, like I'm like 6'3", and I was like, well, I want to take that into my game and stuff like that. And it's like, seeing a guy like that and how dominant he was, like, of course, like I'm going to want to take that into my own game and stuff like that. So like kind of like watching stuff of him, even Pettit, who might have not been as big as him, like Pettit, like how competitive he was and stuff like that. Like, I just love that. And that's definitely why I want to take like my game and stuff like that.
Randy Johnson, the big unit.
Yeah.
He had the height. Andy Pettit had the legs. And I think that's for pitchers. If you have, I mean, every pitcher's different. I get it. But I've noticed the guys who are the workhorses, not saying the big unit wasn't, but having the thick legs and being able to power, because especially now you're seeing guys really not, go that far into games. And if you can, which Pettit was able to do with the strength of the core, that helps a lot.
Of course. Yeah.
But that's awesome, man. That's really, really, that's really good. Now, going back to the high school part, because I know we got off subject a little bit. As far as going through, now you started playing varsity your sophomore year.
Yeah.
Would you say you're a sophomore or junior year? Probably your junior year, but I'll throw it at you. When did you feel like the game started to slow down for you?
What do you mean by slow down?
Slow down, what I mean by that is where things are not going like 8,000 miles in your head, where you can kind of take it pitch by pitch. And, I understand, different games kind of speed up on you. But as far as for you, because sophomore and junior year, still new to varsity, sophomore year. And then now second year of varsity, your junior year. When did it kind of start to slow down and you could take a breath?
I'd say I would probably say my junior year, because sophomore year, like getting to varsity and stuff like that, like it's kind of, I'm not making it like some big like deal or anything, but like, I mean, it's like completely different. Like, honestly, like I kind of thought it was completely different than like JV. Like I'm like the youngest kid on the team and stuff like that. So it's like, hearts racing and stuff like that. Like you're a lot more like excited or like amped up for like those games and type of stuff like that. But then it's like once you kind of like get used to it or something like that. And you kind of like, I don't know about get used to it, but like you kind of get to like know the game a little bit better and stuff like that. And then you end up going out there your junior year, and it's kind of just a lot more like at your pace, and you're like kind of experienced with it.
Was there a player, either your sophomore year or even freshman year for that matter, that really helped, you know, in your eyes, your development as a pitcher?
Yeah, we had a lot of good pitch. We had a pretty good team, to be honest. And like with our pitchers and stuff like that, like we had Joey Magnana. I remember you had him a few months ago on the show. And then we also had Alessio Presmarita, who was our ace that year. And I mean, Alessio, I mean, that's like, he was great. I mean, like he taught me a lot about pitching and stuff like that. And he also like, I mean, he's kind of just like what you want to like in a high school pitcher and stuff like that. Like kind of what's like a leader in like your bullpen, or not bullpen, but like pitching rotation.
Was there ever a competition as far as you and the starters? Whereas, and what I mean by that is, okay, well, you just mentioned one pitcher. All right, he shoved. He threw a complete game. Do you feel like, you know, you guys were kind of having a competition amongst yourselves because you always wanted to, you know, overdo the other one in a sense?
Yeah, I don't know if it was more like, I don't know if it was overdoing the other, but like you always wanted to keep it moving, like keep the train going. Like if we were all stringing like good games together, like you always wanted to keep that like the good momentum going and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Now, I'm really intrigued by pitchers' routines. And I know a lot of times they typically, some are weird, we'll admit. Some are actually, you know, they change because you especially if you're starting pitcher, you want to find what works for you.
Of course.
Has your routine changed from, I'm sure, fourth grade, so we'll throw that out. So we'll go from your freshman year till now, or has it kind of stayed the same?
Not at all, to be honest. Like I remember my freshman year, like I don't know if it was just because I was young or whatever, but I mean, honestly, like it was just like a regular stretch with the team. Then I would just go throw with the catcher, and that's what it was. And then I would go right down the bullpen. Oh, wow. So it was like literally just like that. It was just as simple as that. Because I never, like back then, I never thought of like a real routine as a pitcher.
So what's your routine now?
So the routine now is, so I don't really know the time frame for it, but you know, I get out there on the field. I do bands now, like the J bands and stuff like that. I'm not really into the weighted ball stuff before a game. I don't know. I just don't really, it's not really my thing, I guess. And then I kind of get out there on the field. You know, I kind of like to distance myself from the rest of the players. I usually won't stretch with the team. I do my own stretches or whatever. This is only on my start days, or like the days I know I'm going to be pitching. And then get a couple sprints in and stuff like that. Kind of get the legs loose, get the hips loose, everything like that. Get a good stretch, and then like start a real throwing routine with my catcher and stuff like that.
You mentioned the weighted balls again. That's something that has been added to the, you know, a lot of pitchers who are as young as you, if not younger. You know, even some of the college players now, or many of them actually, depending on the program, they're very big into the weighted balls. I remember when I was in school back in 2011 all the way to 2015, that's when the weighted ball started to become, you know, a thing. And now it's become this whole, I mean, look, Driveline uses it like crazy, and it does help pitchers as far as their speed. And I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I would think, at least from what I've seen, it also raises the tension in the elbow and the UCL, which causes a lot more injuries. Is that maybe a reason or part of the reason why you don't want to do it?
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, to be honest, if like personally during on a day like I know I'm pitching, like I don't want to overcomplicate anything. So I mean, I'm really not trying to, because I know, I mean, you don't, it's because with the weighted balls, like it's very specific, and like you're doing like all this stuff, like you do like a whole bunch of different throws from like different angles, whatever you do, like the back throws, the like whatever those are. And it's just not really like, I mean, I definitely think I'm going to get into it like as I go on in my career and stuff like that. But I feel like that's more of like an off-season thing, in my opinion. I don't really think that's like an in-season thing.
No, because like you said, if you start messing up, you know, because the weighted balls, you have to overcompensate at some point. That can mess up your mechanics. And while I haven't seen video of your mechanics as a lefty, I'm sure because of, like you said, because of your size, and I'm assuming you throw downhill, you want to make sure you keep that downhill, because you got to think about it. 60 feet, 6 inches. You're 6'3". You're releasing the baseball probably about 3 to 4 inches closer, maybe even more. So now instead of it being, I don't know, let's say a normal 58 to 57 from the release of the ball to the catcher, now it's 54, 53.
Yeah, it cuts it all the way back.
You're talking about even less, like what is it as far as the speed? It's probably 1/8 of a second, 7th, 6th, whatever. Now you cut that even in less time, advantage goes to you. If you mess that up, that could affect your pitching and your repertoire.
Of course, yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's great. I mean, I think be able to know what works for you and to not go in line because, oh, well, Billy Bob's doing it, so I'm going to do it because, you know, everyone else.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like a lot of guys do it, and I mean, I'm not judging them at all. Like that's their thing. If that's what they think that works, and that's what thinks that would work. I don't know. Like I just would never do that on a start day.
And hey, whatever works for you. Every pitcher has their own thing. If it works for if it works for them, by all means, I support it. If it doesn't work, support it as well. Two sides can both work at the same time. It's been done before, you know? Now, as far as your path to college baseball, when did you feel like you knew, like, hey, I think I could take this. I think I'm good enough where I think I could pitch at college. When did you feel like that was the case?
Yeah, I would definitely think it was probably the summer going into my junior year, because I had joined a new summer team. I used to play Legion, and I ended up going to play for Connecticut Capitals, and I loved every second of it. Like it was great. Like the whole team was great. The coaches were great, helped me a lot, and everything like that. And like I just pitched, that's probably the best season I've ever pitched in my life.
Now, why is that?
I kind of started realizing it. I was like, you know, I can definitely do this. So it was a lot. It was like a confidence thing too.
Why was it the best season?
It was just game after game. Like I just had like so much momentum building off the next game, and like I just like even like talking with my dad and stuff like that. It was kind of just like building off of my previous outing and stuff like that. And you just keep building off of it, learning different things, and it's like you just keep putting it in your game, and you just keep getting better. You know, I just felt like I got a lot better that summer.
Do you think that summer helped your development as a pitcher? I'm not saying that if you stayed at Legion, it would have not, because Legion ball is, I think a lot of people sleep on it. It's a very good program where
it is, yeah.
Legion itself is very good, I think, for people in Connecticut and all over. But as far as you're concerned, do you think being able to play for that team in the summer helped you as a pitcher to take that next step so that you could feel more confident about playing potentially at the time college baseball?
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, even with like the coaches and stuff like that, and overall just how the whole program's run, like it's great. Like all those guys like really buy into your development and stuff like that. All the coaches like want to help you. And I'm not saying at Legion they didn't. Legion was great too, but it was like Capital was just like a whole another level.
Now, the worst part about this COVID situation, and there's been a lot of worse parts, but sticking to the sports side, you lost a chance to be able to pitch your junior year.
Yeah.
So that affected a lot of things because it was a lost developmental year as far as at the high school level playing with your teammates, but also having scouts from these selective, programs come watch you and see what you're doing as far as your body's concerned, your repertoire, your velo, the whole nine. So how was it for you to get recruited? Because I'm sure it was difficult.
Yeah. So it was like, I kind of sat down with my parents, like made a list of like the school, like my top schools I really wanted to go to and stuff like that. And I kind of got like all the coaches' emails and stuff. And like I had video from the previous summer before that. And I had some from that fall too. Because that was probably like the most recent. And even like the bullpens I had in the winter, like those are like all like my most recent video and stuff like that. So I kind of made like a big like YouTube video, not that long, probably 3 minutes. And I kind of just like emailed them saying like I was interested in their school and stuff like that. And like kind of like what my GPA was. And I kind of just sent them a little link to like my prep baseball profile. And I sent them a link to the YouTube video that I had up. And then, you know, some responded, some didn't. And I think that's kind of how I got it started. Because I mean, you couldn't do anything like until like end of June. That's when we started playing baseball. So, but like in a normal year, like kind of things with recruiting are already going by then.
Now, when you reached out to the schools, obviously Southern Maine reached back to you, I'm assuming. Were they one of the first ones or were they second, third?
Yeah, no. So I'm going to be honest. Like, I never even reached out to them. They actually.
What? Really?
Yeah, I never reached out to them.
Wow. Okay. So then how did they hear about you?
So we were playing in a firecracker tournament. We were playing at the Norwich Sea Unicorn Stadium up in Norwich.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a big tournament and stuff like that. So there were schools there and stuff. And I was kind of looking for a JUCO. I kind of thought that's what was going to be best for me in my development. And I kind of told my coach about it. I was like, yeah, like, I'm kind of looking for a JUCO. You know, I had a lot of 4 years that were interested or offered. And I ended up that was like my best outing of the whole. It was like one of my best outings of the whole summer. And he happened to be there. And then he ended up talking to me the next day. Got in contact with him, and then kind of just went from there.
So when you heard about the school, like I told you about before we started this, I know a lot of colleges, both from Division 1 to Division 3. No offense to Southern Maine. Don't hate me. I did not know about you. I know about the Monks because of St. Joe's. I know them, but I did not know about them, about this school. Did you?
Yeah. I little bit. I knew there's a kid from, I don't know, I can't name the town off the top of my head. And I remember hearing that he committed there. That's the only time I ever heard of the school.
Really? So I'm assuming after you heard about it, you probably went on your phone, like we all do, and go, okay, Google, do the magic. All right. So then when you saw it, I mean, again, when I looked up the school, the first thing that I noticed was the World Series appearances. 08, 10, 11, 19. That had to make you feel somewhat like, okay, the school, there's some talent here. There's a chance for me to be able to do some things.
Yeah, that most definitely. Cause cause I talked to him at the field because it was the day after he saw me. It was like the day after my start, and he came down the field, talked to me. Coach Walsh, like great guy, introduced himself, kind of talked to him a little bit, like kind of like what him and his program bring to the table. And then of course, like we all do, I did some research when I got home, and I mean, I would kind of thought, I was like, I mean, this could definitely be a possibility. I mean, like the campus was beautiful. I was like, they have a great baseball program. I just met the coach. I was like, the coach seems like a great guy. I was like, it's definitely something I'm interested in.
So what was the selling point for you that kind of turned you, when you talked to the coaches and such, what was the thing that kind of made you go, you know what? I think this is the pick. I think this is the choice.
Yeah. So I went up there on my visit, and I never seen the campus before, and I got up there. I was like, so I've never even heard the school. I'm like, dude, this is great. And of course it's small. It's a community college, but I was like, this is like, I mean, this is a lot better than most of the 4 years by me. Mm-hmm. And even just talking to all the coaches, the pitching coach was great. Love Coach Quinn. Love talking to him. And kind of just like showing me around and stuff, and like kind of like showing like what his program is and like what all the guys like want to do, like kind of how they all buy in to the program. And it's like, that's definitely something I want to be a part of. And like after the visit, like I kind of course I was keeping options open and stuff. I was like, yeah, it's definitely like my number one right now.
That's awesome. And Jack, we've just about run out of time, but hey, congratulations on being able to have an opportunity to be able to play college baseball at the next level at Southern Maine Community College. Sounds like a great school. And like I, alluded to earlier, World Series appearances in 08, 10, 11, 19. Who knows? Maybe there'll be one down the road and you could be a part of it and then be able to have a chance to play, hopefully at Division 1 or wherever you end up going next after.
Of course. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime. I'll wrap things up in the Connecticut Sports Talent Show. So until next time, stay safe. Remember, CT stands for Connecticut Talent. I'm on a journey to find them all. Have a good one, everybody, and be well.